I am in day 1 and we are starting with math. So for the first thing, we would start off with our daily math journal, and normally it would look something like this, where you have your composition notebook and you have your child open up to the page that they're on. So let's just look at one example here. Okay, so we've got the number 26 and the child's writing out the number and they're showing the place value of that number. They're writing their number 4 because that's how many chicks are over here, and they're spelling out the number 4. And then on the bottom, they're writing their numbers to 20. So as you can see on the top, it's a number focus and you spell the number, and then we talk about place value in that area. And then over here is just a variety of whatever you want to do. So if you wanted to do greater than, less than, if you wanted to do a fraction, if you just wanted to continue to spell out numbers, you can do that. And then on the bottom is pretty much anything that works for your child as well. In this case, this child did numbers 1 through 20. You can also do an addition problem. You can also do a subtraction problem, a word problem, just whatever works for you in this math journal. But we'll get started on our first journal for day 1. Okay, so we are going to do our very first math journal for day 1. And like I was saying before, math journals can be super flexible and you can do them however you feel. But we are going to start by making our little T and dividing up our journal. And like I said before, if you just want to divide it in 2, you can do that, but we'll get to that in a minute. We're going to start with our number. Our number is going to be 32. So you're going to encourage your child to write 3, 2 on their paper. Have them write it as neat as possible and try to fit it on their page correctly if they are writing it. If you want to just follow along with me and listen, that's okay as well. Whatever works for you works for me. Okay, so you want them to look at 32 and see the place value in 32. So when we look at 32, we're looking at our place value and we're thinking, okay, 3 is in the tens place, 2 is in the ones place. So we have 3 tens, 1, 2, 3 tens, and then how many ones do we have? 2 ones. 1, 2. Okay, so that's what 32 looks like if you put it in a place value form. So we can count it like this: 10, 20, 30, and then 1, 2. So we know that that number is 32 for our place value. So we are going to put 3 tens, 2 ones. So encourage your child to spell out each number and each tens and ones. So you got your 3 and your tens, TENS, and then 2 ones, ONES. Also, if your child would like to draw the place value down here, they are more than welcome to do that. And you do not have to use these blocks. You can use anything you have from home. So if you have a toy that you can use to represent your tens or represent your ones, you can use those as well. You can also cut these out and make paper forms of these. This is very flexible. So after that, you're going to spell out the number 32. So you want to encourage, okay, what does 32 start with? 30, THIRTY, and then dash. If you don't have enough room over here, that's okay. 2. 32. And you can spell that out in detail with your child. They can write it by themselves. You can spell it out while they're writing it. Okay, in our next box, we are going to do fractions. And like I was saying before, if you need to pause for any kind of reason, go ahead and do that and encourage your child to take their time on all these tasks. This is a timed video, so I'm not really sure where you are in this, so I want you to be able to pause whenever you need to be able to do each task. So we're going to do a fraction in this box. So for my first fraction, I just want to do a circle and put a line down the middle. So we're doing a very basic fraction here. We're just going to shade half of the circle in, just like that. And you can do that with a pencil, you can do that with a marker, a crayon. You can make it fun with your child any way that you want to. After you're finished with that, you're going to write in what that fraction is. So you want to encourage your child, okay, how many pieces are in this circle? So you count it with them. You go 1, 2, and you say that is always the bottom number on our fraction. So 2 will be the bottom number. You got 1, 2 pieces. And then you ask your child how many pieces are shaded in. And they look at it and they have to count how many pieces of that circle are shaded. So they would say 1 piece is shaded. So your fraction is 1/2 because you colored in half of the circle. So for the bottom part, like I was saying before, you can use a word problem. You can count with the bottom. You can even do more fractions, or you can spell out more numbers if you want to. In this case, we're going to count by 5s, and we'll go all the way to 50. So what I'll do is you'll have the student write 5 and then give yourself space between each number. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And you can take up as much space as you need to. You can go all the way to 100 if you want to. This is just an example that you can do with your child, counting by 5s all the way to 50 or to 100, whatever you are comfortable with. So that is the first example of a math journal that you can do with your child. Here's another way that you can do the math journal. Like I was saying before, there is no right or wrong way to do the journal, but here's something that's a little more simple in the math journal. So you can do the number 3, for example, and let me go ahead and divide my board here. So you have a top and a bottom, and you're just going to do the number 3 here. You're going to show what 3 looks like because 3 is already in the ones place. So it's just a number by itself. You're going to spell out the number 3 with your child. You can have a model of that spelled out like this right here, or you can just have them write it with you spelling. So T-H-R-E-E, 3. And you want to encourage them to take their time and write it neatly and do what they need to do to show that that is 3 in number form and 3 in word form. Okay, so you want to show what 3 looks like. So you can do 1, 2, 3 dots. You can do 3 smiley faces. So these are just forms of 3 that you can show. And there is no right or wrong answer. If this is what your child wants to draw or do to show the number 3, then that's what they can do. And on the bottom, if you're doing basic counting skills with your child, you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if they're working on identifying numbers or anything like that, you can put as many numbers as you want on here. And you can say, okay, I want you to point to the 3 because that's the number we're focused on. And they can point to it, they can underline it, they can circle the 3, whatever works for them. But it's just a receptive way to see what numbers that they know in the journal. So that's another way that you can do your math journal.